The strange voices, the ruins were silent. Broken towers stood like the bones of giants black against the night sky. The wind carried the smell of smoke and dust. Ethan moved carefully through the empty street, his boots crunching against shattered stone. He kept one hand on his rifle, eyes sharp, breath slow. This city was dead. Or maybe it only pretended to be dead. Ethan had learned the hard way that silence was never safe. Silence meant someone was waiting, watching. He stopped near a wall, with strange alien carvings faded by fire. His stomach growled. He reached into his pack and pulled out a piece of bread, hard, old, but still food. The human army rations were running low, and he had saved this small piece for the long night ahead. Then he heard it. A voice. Weak, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. "Please, can we have your leftovers?" Ethan froze. His heart slammed against his chest. He raised his rifle and scanned the shadows. The street was empty. The buildings were hollow shells. The only sound was the wind moving broken metal. But then it came again. "Please. Food. Your leftovers?" The voice was not human. The words were broken, strange, like someone had learned them without really knowing the language. Ethan's finger tightened on the trigger. Could it be a trap? Some alien trick to make him lower his guard? His commanders had warned him. Never trust voices in the dark. He moved slowly, his back to the wall, eyes sharp. His lamp flickered across rubble and ash, and then, in the corner of a collapsed doorway, he saw them. Two figures, small, thin, covered in dirt and rags. Their skin glowed faintly under the pale moonlight, a soft bluish shade, not human at all. Their eyes were large and shining, too big for their faces, and they stared at the bread in Ethan's hand as if it were treasure. Two alien girls. Ethan's breath caught. His instincts screamed danger. These children could be bait. Their kind had killed humans before. Maybe soldiers hid nearby, waiting for him to step closer. The girls did not move. One of them held the other tightly, as if afraid Ethan would strike them. Their lips trembled. "Food," the older one whispered again. Her voice cracked like dry wood. "Please. Hungry." Ethan looked down at his bread, his last piece. His stomach twisted inside him. He needed this food to survive. Tomorrow's march would be long, and the ruins held no safe water, no safe food. But their eyes were not the eyes of soldiers. They were the eyes of starving children. He took one slow step forward, rifle still raised. "Who are you?" he asked. His voice was cold, but inside his chest his heart was beating too fast. The girls only shook their heads. Maybe they did not understand. Maybe they could only say a few human words. The younger one pointed at the bread. Then she hid her face again, as if ashamed. Ethan stood there, torn. If he gave them food, he might die tomorrow. If he ignored them, they might die tonight. The ruins around him felt heavier, the shadows darker. The silence stretched until it pressed against his ears. Finally, with a slow sigh, he lowered his rifle. He broke the bread into two rough pieces and held them out. The older girl stared as if she did not believe it was real. Then she crawled forward on weak legs, took one piece, and quickly gave it to her sister. The younger one bit it with shaking hands, eyes closing with relief as if it was the sweetest thing in the world. The older one looked back at Ethan, waiting. He nodded once. She took the second piece. She ate it slowly, carefully, as if afraid it might disappear. Ethan watched them, uneasy. Their bones stuck out under their thin skin. Their faces were sharp with hunger. He had seen starving humans before. He had never thought he would feel the same pity for aliens. But pity was dangerous. Pity could kill him. Suddenly a sound broke the moment. A low growl. Ethan spun around, rifle ready. From the dark street ahead, shapes moved. Shadows long and twisted. The smell of rot filled the air. The girls froze, terror in their glowing eyes. Ethan knew that sound. Alien scavengers. They were drawn by food, by weakness, by the scent of life. The girls clutched each other, their small bodies shaking. Ethan lifted his rifle and whispered through gritted teeth, "Stay behind me." The shadows crept closer. The growls turned to snarls. Yellow eyes flashed in the night. Ethan pulled the trigger. The shot cracked like thunder, echoing across the ruins. One beast fell. The others did not stop. The girls screamed. The monsters leapt forward. Ethan fired again, his heart racing, his mind screaming one question. Had he made a mistake feeding them? The beasts were coming. The night was no longer silent, and Ethan knew. This was only the beginning. Feeding the unwanted. The night exploded with sound. The ruins that had been silent only moments ago were now alive with snarls, claws scratching stone, and the echoes of Ethan's gunfire. The first scavenger beast lay dead in the dust, its thick hide smoking from the rifle shot. But more came. Shadows crawled out of broken windows and twisted alleys, eyes glowing yellow, hungry and wild. Ethan's rifle barked again. Another beast dropped, but there were too many. Their claws scraped against stone, their teeth flashed in the pale light. The alien girls clung to each other behind him, their small bodies shaking. He had fought soldiers before, armored and armed, but these were not soldiers. These were hunters, animals bred for killing, and they smelled weakness. Ethan stepped back, aiming carefully, conserving his bullets. Each shot echoed like thunder in the dead city, but with every kill, 3 more shadows appeared. "Stay down," he shouted without looking back. He didn't even know if they understood his words. The girls crouched low, pressing against the ruined wall. Their wide, glowing eyes never left him. A beast lunged. Ethan spun, fired, and the creature collapsed at his feet. But its blood filled the air with a sharp metallic scent. More beasts growled, louder now, driven mad by the smell. His rifle clicked empty. Ethan cursed under his breath, slamming a fresh magazine into place. His hands shook, not with fear, but with the knowledge of how thin the line between survival and death had become. The older girl suddenly cried out in her strange, broken voice, "Run!" But Ethan did not run. If he turned his back, the beasts would rip them apart before they took 3 steps. He had one choice: stand and fight. The first wave came at once. 3 beasts lunged together, teeth flashing. Ethan dropped one with a perfect shot, then swung his rifle like a club, smashing. Another across the jaw. Pain shot through his arm, but he didn't stop. He pulled his knife with his free hand and drove it into the third beast's throat. Hot blood sprayed across his chest. The girls screamed. Ethan roared. He shoved the dead creature aside, panting, hard, sweat mixing with dirt and blood on his face. The surviving beasts circled, growling, but they did not leap again, not yet. They were waiting, watching. Ethan knew this game. They wanted him to get tired. They wanted him weak. His eyes flicked back to the girls. Their faces were pale, their lips trembling. They were still holding the crumbs of bread he had given them, as if even in terror they would not let go. Something inside Ethan twisted. He should not care. They were not human. They were not his people. But hunger was the same in every species. Fear was the same. And now they were his problem. The beast growled again, louder this time. The ruins seemed to close in around them. Ethan raised his rifle, finger on the trigger, ready for the next rush. But then, silence. The beasts froze, ears twitching. Their eyes turned away from him toward the far street. Ethan's own instincts screamed at him. Something bigger was coming. The pack backed away slowly, whining low in their throats, then scattered into the darkness. The silence returned, but this silence was different. He could feel it pressing on his skin, heavy, unnatural. Ethan kept his rifle up. His finger itched on the trigger. He whispered to the girls, "Stay close." From the far end of the street, a massive shadow moved. It was taller than the ruins around it, wide as a tank, its steps shaking the ground. The girls gasped. The older one whispered a word Ethan did not know, but her tone was full of terror. The creature stepped into the faint moonlight. It was no scavenger. It was a war beast, Ethan had heard stories in the army. Beasts bred by the alien empires for battle, unleashed against human lines during sieges. Huge, armored, unstoppable. He had never seen one alive. Until now. Its red eyes glowed, like burning coals. Its breath came out in waves of steam hot against the night air. Spikes ran down its back and its claws dug into the stone with each step. The girls whimpered behind him. Ethan's mouth went dry. His bullets had killed the smaller beasts. Yes, but against this monster, it would be like throwing stones at a wall. Still, he lifted his rifle. "Come on, then," he muttered. The war beast roared. The sound shook the ruins, made dust fall from broken towers, made the girls press their hands against their ears. It charged. Ethan fired, bullets sparking off its thick hide. The monster did not slow. It moved like a living tank, claws tearing, stone, teeth gleaming. "Move!" Ethan shouted. He grabbed the girls and shoved them behind another wall as the war beast smashed through where they had been standing. Debris flew through the air, stone shattering like glass. Ethan rolled to his feet, pulling the girls up with him. His heart hammered, his hands ached. His brain screamed only one word: run. But the beast was already turning, its eyes locked on them again. The girls clung to his arms, trembling, whispering in their strange language. Ethan did not understand the words, but he understood fear. The war beast lowered its head. Ethan tightened his grip on his rifle. He had a choice to make. Hunted in the dark. The war beast's roar shook the ruins like thunder. Broken walls trembled and dust rained down from shattered towers. The alien girls screamed and covered their ears. Ethan's own heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst. The monster's red eyes locked on him. It lowered its massive head, spikes glowing faintly, and began to charge again. Ethan fired. Bullets sparked off the beast's armored hide like pebbles against steel. The shots only made it angrier. Its claws tore through the stone street as it thundered closer. "Run!" Ethan shouted, pulling the girls by their arms. He didn't know where to go, only that staying here meant death. The three of them dashed into a broken alley, rubble crunching under their boots and bare feet. Behind them, the beast smashed through the wall, stone exploding into the air. The ground shook. The monster was faster than it had any right to be. "Faster!" Ethan hissed. His lungs burned, but he pulled the girls forward. They were small, their thin legs trembling, but somehow they kept up. Fear gave them strength. The alley ended in darkness. A tunnel collapsed long ago. Ethan spun left, into another street. His boots slipped on dust. His hand stayed tight on his rifle. The war beast roared again, closer now. Its steps echoed like drums. The older girl suddenly tugged at Ethan's arm. "Here," she cried in broken human words. She pointed at a narrow crack between two fallen walls. Too small for the beast. Ethan shoved the girls inside first, then forced himself through. His shoulders scraped against jagged stone, tearing his jacket. He bit back a curse. Behind him, the beast slammed against the wall. Stone shattered. Dust filled the air, but the crack held. For now. Ethan pushed the girls ahead until they tumbled into a hidden passage, a tunnel half buried in rubble. The air smelled of rust and mold, but it was shelter. The girls clung to him, their glowing eyes wide. The younger one whispered something in her own language, voice shaking. "What is this place?" Ethan asked, his voice low. The older girl pointed deeper into the tunnel. "Safe, for now." Ethan kept his rifle ready. His muscles ached, but he did not relax. Nothing in this city was safe. Not truly. They moved deeper. The tunnel curved, downward, carved by alien hands long ago. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls like old warnings. The air grew colder. Ethan's thoughts churned. He had just fought beasts for these children. Why? Why risk his life for aliens when his own commanders would call them enemies? Yet when he looked at their faces, thin, pale, hungry, he felt something he had not felt since Earth. Responsibility. The girls whispered softly to each other in their own tongue. Ethan could not understand, but the younger one kept glancing. Back at him, her small hands clutching the last crumbs of bread. Finally, the tunnel opened into a wide chamber. Broken machines lay scattered across the floor. Alien technology, silent and dead. Pipes dripped water into pools that reflected the dim glow of the walls. The older girl motioned for him to sit. "Rest," she said simply. Ethan hesitated. Resting? Here was dangerous. But his chest heaved and his arms shook from the fight. Slowly he lowered himself onto a broken slab of stone. The girls crouched near him, close enough to feel safe, but not so close that they touched. Their glowing eyes studied him carefully as if unsure if he was truly friend or just temporary shelter. Ethan broke the silence. "Why are you here? Why alone?" The older girl's lips trembled. She looked at her sister, then back at Ethan. "Orphans," she whispered. Her accent was thick, the word heavy. "No one want us." Ethan's jaw tightened. He had seen orphans before on Earth, in burned cities, in human refugee camps. The war made orphans everywhere, but something in her voice told him it was worse. Before he could ask more, a sound echoed through the tunnels, a low, crawling hiss. Ethan shot to his feet, rifle raised. The girls froze, eyes wide with terror. From the far end of the chamber, shadows slithered, thin shapes, long arms, glowing eyes. Not beasts this time, hunters, intelligent. The girls gasped. "Scouts," the older one whispered. "They find us." Ethan's gut turned cold. So this was no accident. The beasts above were only the beginning. Something bigger was hunting these girls. The scouts hissed again, stepping closer, their claws clicking against stone. Their armor glimmered faintly, their weapons sharp and alien. Ethan pulled the girls behind him. His voice was low, steady, the voice of a soldier ready to kill. "Stay down. Don't move." The scouts raised their blades. Ethan raised his rifle. The chamber filled with silence again, just before all hell broke loose. A human's choice. The chamber shook with sound. Hissing voices echoed from the tunnel. The alien scout stepped into the dim light, their tall, thin shapes bending low, blades gleaming. Their armor was black and marked with glowing red symbols. Ethan tightened his grip on his rifle. His heart beat steady now, not with fear, but with the cold focus of a soldier. The girls crouched behind him, trembling, whispering to each other in their strange tongue. The scouts spread out, circling him. Their glowing eyes fixed on the children, not on Ethan. He realized the truth at once. They weren't here for him. They were here for the girls. One scout hissed something sharp and guttural. Ethan couldn't understand, but the older girl's reaction told him enough. She clutched her sister's hand tighter, shaking her head violently. "They want us," she whispered in broken human words. "Take us. Kill you." Ethan's jaw clenched. His mind screamed at him. "Leave them. Run. Save yourself." The smart move was to vanish while the scouts dragged the children away. He could survive. He could return to his unit. But when he looked at the girls, their thin arms, their terrified faces, his legs refused to move. He saw his little sister's face from years ago, back on Earth. Hungry, afraid, reaching out for help. He had sworn then he would protect her. Now, these children stood in that same place. The scouts stepped closer. Their claws scraped the stone. The air felt heavy, charged with violence. Ethan raised his rifle. "If you want them," he muttered, "you'll have to go through me." The nearest scout screeched and lunged. Ethan fired point blank, the bullet smashing through its chest. It collapsed in a shriek of pain. The others roared in anger. The fight exploded. Ethan moved like a shadow of war. His rifle barked fire, each shot precise, each movement trained from years of combat. One scout fell, then another. But their speed was inhuman. They darted across the chamber, blades flashing. A claw slashed across his arm, tearing fabric and skin. Ethan grunted, spun, and drove his knife deep into the attacker's throat. Blood sprayed, black and hot. The girls screamed, huddling against the wall. The younger one cried, "Human," in a broken voice, her tiny hands covering her ears. Ethan bled, but he didn't stop. He fired until his rifle clicked empty, then swung it like a club, smashing skulls and armor. He fought like a cornered wolf, every strike fueled by fury and a strange, unexplainable duty. Still, they kept coming. The last scout leapt from the shadows, blade aimed for Ethan's chest. Ethan raised his arm to block. The blade tore across his shoulder, burning pain exploding through him. He shoved back with all his strength, driving his knife upward. The steel slid into alien flesh. The scout gurgled, twitched, and fell silent. The chamber was quiet again, except for Ethan's ragged breathing. His vision blurred from blood loss. He dropped to one knee, clutching his wound. The girls rushed to him at once. The older one pressed her small hands against his shoulder, trying to stop the bleeding. Her sister fumbled with a pouch hidden in her ragged clothes. To Ethan's surprise, she pulled out a small vial filled with glowing liquid. She poured it over his wound. The pain burned like fire, then faded. The bleeding slowed. The glow sank into his skin, leaving a strange warmth. Ethan looked at the older girl. She stared back with wide eyes. "We help you?" she whispered. He nodded slowly, still breathing hard. "You saved me." The younger one shook her head. "You saved us first." For a moment, silence hung between them. Ethan realized these children were not helpless after all. They had scraps of knowledge, medicine, maybe even secrets their hunters wanted to bury. His commanders had ordered soldiers to leave alien survivors behind, to let them die. They were enemies, nothing more. But now Ethan understood. These girls were more than just survivors. They were targets, and someone wanted them gone badly enough to unleash beasts and scouts to hunt them. The older girl's voice trembled as she spoke again. "They kill father. He help humans. Now they want us dead." Ethan froze. That truth hit him like a strike. Their father had worked with humans. A scientist, maybe. Someone important. And now the Empire wanted no trace of him or his bloodline left alive. The chamber suddenly felt smaller, darker. The sound of distant footsteps echoed from the tunnels again. More scouts were coming. Ethan pushed himself up, ignoring the pain. His decision was already made. He had no orders for this, no backup, no plan. But he knew one thing. He would not abandon them. "Stay close," he told the girls, his voice rough but steady. "From now on, you're with me." The younger ones, eyes filled with tears. She grabbed his hand with her small, trembling fingers. The older one bowed her head, whispering words he did not understand. But the meaning was clear. Hope. Ethan lifted his rifle again, ready for the next wave. The tunnel ahead was dark, but he stepped forward without hesitation. Behind him, 2 alien children followed, their trust placed in the one human who had chosen to fight for them. The hunt was not over. But now, they would face it together. Secrets of the orphans. The tunnels were quiet now, but it was the heavy kind of quiet, the kind that meant danger was still near, only waiting. Ethan walked with his rifle raised, every step measured. His shoulder still burned from the wound, though the alien medicine had sealed it enough to keep him moving. The girls followed close, their bare feet silent on the stone floor. The younger one held Ethan's hand tightly, her small fingers cold but firm. The older one walked on his other side, her glowing eyes sharp, scanning shadows the way a soldier would. They did not speak for a long time. Only the drip of water from broken pipes filled the air. Ethan's mind worked fast. Scouts had come for the girls, not random attackers, organized hunters, which meant someone powerful wanted them gone. Finally, Ethan stopped. They had reached another chamber, this one smaller, with a cracked ceiling where pale moonlight streamed through. He lowered himself onto a broken slab of metal, his body heavy, with exhaustion. The girls sat near him. The younger one leaned against his arm, breathing softly, while the older one kept staring into the dark as if she expected more scouts to appear any second. Ethan's voice broke the silence. "Why are they after you? Tell me the truth." The older girl hesitated. Her lips trembled, but her eyes never left his. She spoke slowly, carefully, as if choosing words from a language that was not her own. "Our father, scientist. He worked for them. For Empire." Ethan leaned forward. A scientist. That explained much. Scientists held power in alien empires, building weapons, machines, ships. If their father had worked for the enemy, he would have been important. The girl continued. "But father no want war. He help humans. Secret. They find out. They kill him." Her voice broke, but she forced herself on. "Now they hunt us. No one want us. We orphans." Ethan felt the weight of her words. He had suspected something like this, but hearing it was different. These were not just starving children. They were the last of a bloodline tied to betrayal, rebellion, and dangerous knowledge. The younger one lifted her head. Her voice was small, almost broken. "Father say, humans good. Humans fight not for power, but for home. He say, one day, humans protect us too." Her words hit Ethan like a knife. Protect them? Humans? He thought of his commanders, who would have ordered him to shoot these children without a second thought. To the army, they were liabilities. But here, in the silence of the ruins, Ethan realized something. The girls were telling the truth. Their father had believed in humans, and now his daughters were all that remained of his hope. Ethan sighed, rubbing his face with one hand. "You understand what this means, don't you?" he muttered. "If my people find you, they won't save you. They'll kill you. Same as the Empire." The girls didn't argue. They already knew. The older one spoke again, voice trembling. "Father's work. Still here. In ruins. Hidden. They want to destroy it. We remember things. Codes. Places." Ethan's eyes narrowed. Codes. Places. Information. He had stumbled into something far larger than just feeding hungry children. These girls carried secrets that could change the balance of war. Before he could ask more, the younger one leaned against him, her small voice whispering, "Why you help us, human? You could leave. You could run." Ethan stared at the moonlight, spilling through the cracked ceiling. He thought of Earth. He thought of the day the war took his sister when he had been too far away to save her. He thought of the girls' wide, desperate eyes the night they begged him for bread. His throat tightened. He didn't answer right away. Finally, his voice came low and rough. "Because someone has to." The chamber fell into silence again. The girl's eyes glowed faintly, but softer now, almost with warmth, for the first time since he had met them, Ethan felt trust forming. Fragile, but real. But trust was not enough. Not with danger closing in. The sound of footsteps echoed again from the tunnels. This time, heavier, steadier. Not scouts, soldiers. The older girl stiffened. "They come." Ethan rose at once, rifle in hand, heart steady. He looked at the girls, then at the shadowed tunnel. He knew what was coming. The Empire would never stop. Not until these children were dead. "Stay close," he ordered, his voice hard. "From now on, you don't run from me. You run with me." The girls nodded quickly. The younger one whispered, "With you." The footsteps grew louder. Weapons clinked in the dark. Soldiers' voices murmured commands in alien tongue. Ethan stepped forward, standing between the children and the tunnel. He felt the weight of his choice pressing on his chest. His commanders would call him a traitor for this. His fellow soldiers would never understand. But he didn't care. The Empire wanted the girls erased. His own army would discard them. But Ethan knew the truth. They weren't just survivors. They were the key to something greater. And for the first time in this war, Ethan felt like his fight wasn't just about survival. It was about something worth protecting. The tunnel filled with shadows. The soldiers were here. Ethan raised his rifle. His voice was a low growl. Let them come. The chamber shook with boots. The sound grew louder, closer. Ethan knew at once these weren't scavengers or scouts. These were trained soldiers. He pushed the girls back against the wall. Stay low, don't move until I say. The older one nodded, clutching her sister tight. Their glowing eyes followed him with fear and hope mixed together. From the tunnel, armored figures appeared. Alien soldiers, taller than men, their black armor shining with crimson markings. Each carried a long rifle with blades attached, weapons built for both shooting and tearing. Ethan lifted his gun. His finger hovered on the trigger. His body screamed with exhaustion, but his mind stayed sharp. The first soldier stepped into the chamber. Its helmet glowed red. Its voice was cold metal. Give us the children, human may walk free. Ethan didn't answer. Do not fight. Do not die for them, the soldier said again. They are nothing. Ethan's lips curled. His voice was low, steady. Then why are you so afraid of them? The soldier hissed, raising its rifle. Ethan opened fire. The chamber erupted in noise and light. Bullets cracked against armor. Aliens shouted in their harsh tongue. The girls screamed. Ethan moved fast, firing, reloading, throwing himself behind. Broken machines for cover. He shot one soldier down, then another. But there were too many. Blaster fire tore through stone, sparks filled the air. Run, Ethan barked. He grabbed the girls, dragging them toward a side passage. Bullets tore the walls around them, but he didn't stop. His body moved like it had in every battlefield before. Fast, precise, desperate. The tunnel ahead was narrow, perfect for escape, perfect for a trap. They sprinted through, Ethan firing behind them to slow the enemy. The wall shook with each blast. The younger girl tripped, crying out. Ethan scooped her into his arms without slowing. His lungs burned, but he carried her as if she weighed nothing. The older girl ran at his side, her thin legs keeping pace, her glowing eyes sharp. She turned her head, whispering words in her own tongue. Ethan didn't understand, but the air around them changed. A faint hum filled the tunnel. Then, an explosion. The ceiling collapsed behind them, stone crashing down, sealing the passage. The soldiers' shouts were cut off by the rubble. Ethan looked at the older girl wide-eyed. What did you do? She panted hard. Father, teach little power, energy, inside us. Ethan shook his head, but there was no time to ask more. He just muttered, Remind me never to make you angry. They kept running until the tunnel opened into a ruined courtyard, open to the night sky. Broken towers surrounded them like jagged teeth. The air was cold, heavy with smoke. Ethan set the younger girl down, but she clung to his arm, refusing to let go. For a moment, it seemed they had escaped. Then he heard it. A sharp click. The sound of rifles being cocked. From the shadows of the courtyard, human soldiers stepped out. Ethan froze. His heart sank. Their armor was battered but familiar. Earth's military, his people, his unit's insignia marked their shoulders. They aimed rifles at him and the girls. One of them, a lieutenant with a scarred jaw, stepped forward. Ethan. His voice was rough, surprised. You're alive? Ethan didn't lower his weapon. I could ask the same. The lieutenant's eyes flicked to the alien children. His expression hardened. You're protecting them? They're just kids, Ethan growled. They're not kids, the lieutenant snapped. They're weapons. Enemies. Command gave strict orders. No. Survivors. You know that. The human soldiers tightened their aim. The girls shrank behind Ethan, clinging to his jacket. The younger one whispered, Please, don't let them. Ethan's throat felt dry. His own brothers in arms, his own people. Now, aiming at him, he shouted back, anger sharp in his chest. They're not weapons, they're orphans. Their father tried to help us. That's why the Empire wants them dead. The lieutenant's eyes narrowed. You've lost your mind. Step aside, soldier. Now. That's an order. Ethan didn't move. His rifle stayed steady. His voice was low, almost a growl. I don't take that order. The courtyard was silent for a breath, only the cold wind moving between broken towers. Then, from the far side, the rubble shifted. Alien soldiers burst into the courtyard, weapons blazing. Chaos. Humans turned, firing at aliens. Aliens charged. Blasts and bullets filled the night. Ethan grabbed the girls and dove for cover. The battle raged across the courtyard, two armies tearing into each other. Neither side cared about the children, except him. The older girl looked at Ethan, her glowing eyes fierce. We must go now, he nodded. Stay close, don't stop. Together they slipped through the chaos, dodging bullets and fire. A human soldier shouted Ethan's name, but he didn't turn back. An alien claw nearly caught him, but he swung his rifle and broke its arm. The three of them ran, slipping through, the cracks of war hunted by both sides. For the first time, Ethan understood the truth. They were alone. The Empire wanted the girls dead. His own army wanted them erased. That left only one choice: survive and protect them at all costs. Humanity's test. The night sky burned with fire. The courtyard shook with explosions, gunfire, and screams. Human rifles cracked. Alien blasters roared. The ruins glowed red under the storm of war. Ethan crouched behind broken stone, the two girls pressed close against him. Their small hands gripped his jacket, their glowing eyes wide with fear. His people were here, the Earth Army, the same men he had marched with, eaten with, fought with. And now their rifles were pointed at the same children he had sworn to protect. The lieutenant's voice cut through the chaos. Ethan, step aside, they're not yours to save. Ethan's heart pounded. He had been a soldier his whole life, trained to obey. Orders first, feelings second. But tonight, looking at the trembling children clinging to him, he felt something stronger than orders. He shouted back, voice rough and angry. If they're not worth saving, then what are we fighting for? The lieutenant hesitated, his rifle steady, but his jaw tightened. Around them, the battle raged, aliens and humans tearing each other apart. And in the middle stood Ethan, one man refusing to bend. The older girl whispered, They kill us. They kill hope. Ethan nodded. His voice was a low growl. Not while I breathe. He stood tall, rifle raised, placing his body between the children and both armies. The wind whipped dust around him. For a moment, it felt like time slowed. The humans shouted at him again. You're disobeying orders. The aliens hissed, their weapons glowing. But Ethan didn't move. He yelled loud enough for both sides to hear. You want them? You'll have to kill me first. The courtyard froze. Guns and blasters pointed at him, but no one fired. The firelight flickered across his face, showing only resolve. The lieutenant took one step forward, anger twisting his features. They are alien, enemy, nothing. Ethan's reply was sharp as a blade. They're children, and if we kill children, then humanity is already lost. The words cut deeper than bullets. Even some soldiers behind the lieutenant shifted uneasily, lowering their rifles slightly. The alien commander snarled, spitting in its harsh tongue. Foolish human. You protect disease, they carry forbidden blood, they carry secrets that must die. Ethan fired a single shot into the ground between them, the sound echoing like thunder. No, they carry hope. The girls pressed closer to him, their glowing eyes fixed on his back. In that moment, Ethan wasn't just a soldier. He was their shield, their wall against the world. The standoff stretched. Guns raised, breaths held. Then the younger girl stepped forward, her small hand lifted, trembling but brave. She held out a strange object, small, metallic, glowing faintly with alien light. The soldiers on both sides stared. Ethan looked down at her. What is that? Her voice was tiny but clear. Father's gift, his work, for humans. The older one nodded, her voice shaking. He make weapon to stop Empire. We remember codes, last key. Ethan's chest tightened. He understood now. The girls weren't just orphans. They were the living memory of a scientist who had betrayed the Empire for humanity. The Empire wanted them dead to erase his work, and his own army wanted them gone because they feared what they carried. But here, in the ruins, Ethan saw the truth. These children weren't a threat, they were a chance. He turned back to the humans, his voice rang out strong enough to cut through the chaos. Listen to me. These girls hold knowledge the Empire fears. Knowledge we need. Kill them, and we throw away the only chance we have to win. The lieutenant's rifle wavered. His soldiers exchanged uncertain looks. Even the aliens seemed to falter at Ethan's words. The silence was thick. The air felt like it might explode. Finally, the lieutenant lowered his rifle. His face was stone, but his voice was heavy. You're insane, Ethan, but maybe you're right. One by one, the human soldiers lowered their weapons. The aliens hissed in fury, shouting curses, but without numbers, they backed away into the night, leaving the courtyard to darkness. Ethan let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. His hands shook, but his eyes stayed firm. The girls clung to him. The younger one whispered, "You didn't just feed us. You gave us life." The older one added softly, "You gave us a future." Ethan looked at them both, his chest heavy, with exhaustion, pride, and something he hadn't felt in years, hope. For the first time since the war began, Ethan believed humanity's strength wasn't just in weapons or soldiers. It was in choices, in compassion, in refusing to let innocence die even when the whole world demanded it. He tightened his grip on his rifle, scanning the ruins. The war wasn't over. It might never end. But tonight, he had chosen the harder path. And because of that, 2 alien children now carried the future of more than one world. Ethan's voice was steady as he spoke to them. Stay close. Whatever comes next, we face it together. The girls nodded. Their glowing eyes shone like small stars in the dark. And so, in the ruins of a broken city, 1 human soldier and 2 alien orphans began a journey that would change everything.